welcome back to more discussing farm and gauge units. So yeah, this is the last part. We're going to be wrapping up the DLC characters by talking about the two dragon twins, Nil and Nil. So yeah, I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently though. I actually want to go over the Fell Xenologue as well, because I think most of the reason why I really like Nil and Nil is because of how amazing they are. In the Fell Xenologue has actually a pretty great plot, so yeah. That's how we're going to be doing things like that, and then I'm going to be talking about Nell and Nil. So yeah, as they are on the main story and stuff, and yeah, I'm probably also going to talk about what they do during the maps as well. If I am going to be talking about all the maps, then yeah, I guess that makes sense. So, let's start with Fell Xenologue 1. So, this map is very simple. But yeah, the plot for this map is also not too complicated either. At least I don't know, I don't think it's that complicated to be honest. But anyway, what happens is that Nell and Nil are able to summon Amalia to their world. It's like our world except a lot less good, I guess. It's a lot more bleak and dreary because a lot of things have happened. Sombron is actually not in this world, he died. But in the process though, the Divine Dragon of this world also died. And yeah, it was a pretty bloody war apparently between the Fell Dragons and the Divine Dragon army, considering that yeah, all of the retainers are also dead. Only the royals remain, and yeah, things are not looking good with them either, which we'll go into in a bit. But anyway, so yeah, Nil do manage to summon Lear, and they task Lear to help them find the bracelets because they need them for something. So they do have crumbs, but on this map though, it seems like the enemy also has a bracelet, so we need to take it back. So this map is pretty simple. It has a lot of walls on it. That's basically any weapon or enemy. They're kind of annoying though, because if they hit you, then they will basically inflict like a status where it lowers your max HP, but restores it. The best way to deal with them is either dodge them. There are a couple of ways to do that. During the Fell Xenologue, and then well, I think you can tank them too. They do 0 damage. I don't think they inflict the stars, which is also a good idea as well. But yeah, they're fast, but they don't hit super hard. That's kind of how they work. Nell and Nil are okay on this map. Nell can help a little bit. On the higher difficulties, you probably want to let someone else do it and let Nil support. And then Nil, of course, the game outright says he's useless at combat, so you want to use him for support. Luckily though, they are both dragons, so they can both do the support role well. That's mainly how you're going to be using Nil, especially on hard and maddening mode, because again, they're kind of weak on those, so yeah, you probably want to use you probably don't want to give them like an emblem to attack with and stuff like that. Just focus on support. And then yeah, you beat this map, you defeat this mysterious dude who's definitely not who you think it is, and we get the Tiki bracelet back. And then Nell puts it to sleep after that. So yeah, that's really it. That's what I really had to say about Fell Xenologue 1. Let's move on to Fell Xenologue 2. It basically just sets up the plot. So in Fell Xenologue 2, we have we go to Firene and then get Celestia's help, and yeah, we find out that yeah, Firene wants to go to war with Brodia, and yeah, as it kind of shows, yeah, Saline and Alfred are pretty bloodthirsty in this world, considering they're doing that. So yeah, so this map is also kind of interesting too. It basically is a showcase of the Enchanter class. There are a lot of enemy enchanters, and they use their items to power up their troops, so yeah. So again, you want to be careful with that, because it is a common thing that's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of enchanters doing that. There's going to be a lot of enchanters, you know, using their items to help the allies. But yeah, it's not too bad of a map, on normal at least. It can be a bit more difficult and hard, but yeah, it's definitely not like a super hard map and hard. Unlike the next couple, but yeah. Again though, Nell can fight kind of well on normal mode, but again, she might have troubles in hard mode, but again, she can do support based She can help you support based on those high difficulties. And again, though, Nil's not going to do much other than support you with other inputs. If you're curious what I did, I think for the most part, Nil was using Byleth, because again, Byleth's good with dragons, and yeah, can support with the God stance and stuff, and the Instruct. Nil was actually pretty interesting. He was using Veronica, basically summoning stuff to fight for him, basically. It's actually kind of cool idea, but anyway. So of course, you do fight Saline and Alfred, and again, if I didn't mention already, then yeah, they're basically like the opposites of the real ones. And yeah, I will say one thing though, even though the opposite thing is a little weird for some characters, it works for others quite well too. In fact, yeah, some of them are either downright evil or downright depressing to look at. So yeah, I say they do a good job of setting the mood of this horrible world. So yeah. Of course, some are a bit silly though, like the opposite version of Tamara, but yeah. Other than that though, they're pretty good to be honest, I'd say. Anyway, so you beat this map, and they won't go to war with Proteus, that's good. But anyway, after that, and we also get Hector, who was being used with Alpha on this map, and we put him to sleep. So yeah, not much to say there. Let's go on to map 3. So map 3, you go to Brodia. They are more defensive in this world, and apparently, oh yeah, and that also reminds you what actually becoming the priest's fault. Basically, want to make sure that our enemies don't have all of them, because if they do, they can, well, use that power altogether and do something probably not good. Like, for example, Brodia basically wants to make themselves invincible. For example, so yeah, again, we're gonna prevent that from happening. So yeah, now we go on to this map, and it's another map that showcases a new class, the Mage Cannoneer class. There's a lot on this map, and yeah, they're gonna shoot you a lot. This map is actually kind of difficult, to be honest. There's a lot of flying enemies too on this map. It's basically a bridge map. So yeah, a lot of flying enemies, and there's also a lot of Mage Cannoneers positioned basically everywhere, so you're gonna get sniped a lot. Pretty difficult map, and again, Nell and Nil aren't probably gonna help you unless you support. Maybe on normal mode, but again, maybe on normal mode, but yeah, again, I'm not 100% sure. Again, I was using them mainly for support because that seemed like the smart way to use them, so yeah. So yeah, you fight the opposite version of Orcrest and Diamant, which gives me flashbacks of myself, to be honest. If you don't know, my brother is the younger one, but he's also the one in charge of things. So yeah, you can probably tell why this kind of hits different, I guess. Yeah, Orcrest kind of reminds me of my younger brother who is evil, and then I feel like Diamant. So yeah. So yeah, there's that. You defeat him, and yeah, he had Veronica on this map. It seems like a weird choice, but I think there's a good point for that. It's supposed to feel weird, I think. Because again, this world's messed up, so yeah. You defeat them, but then off screen, Nell actually kills them off, so yeah. I haven't really talked about what they're doing, to be honest. Again, Nell's just there, kind of helpless, unfortunately. There are the flashbacks too, but yeah, I'm not going to talk about them too much. I think that's better saved for later in the plot, so yeah. And then Nill's just, I think the only thing with Nell at the moment, I think, is that, yeah, she's kind of acts coldly towards the Divine Dragon. There's a good reason why, which we'll talk about in the 4th map. So, we're basically on, like, the border of, Illusion Storm, and yeah, they are already fighting each other. And yeah, this map is kind of like a Radiant Dawn one, so that's cool. On the higher difficulties, on hard mode with my brother's playthrough, this is when he started to have his doubts about the Fell Xenologue, because he got pretty swamped by the enemies on this map. So yeah, that was not fun because there's so many enemies, and yeah, they will go for you if you're in range, most likely. So yeah, the enemies aren't actually that strong on normal mode. They're pretty weak, to be honest. So you could probably fight with Nell on this map, to be honest. And yeah, the enemies on this map, of course, you have the Illusion Army and the Storm Army. The Illusion Army is led by Ivy, he's using Soren, and then Tamara's using Camilla on the Storm side. So yeah, there's that. Yeah, not much to say about that. Like I said, my brother struggled a lot on this map on hard mode, and yeah, um, a sign of things to come, I guess. And then it wasn't too bad for me because it was a normal mode. But yeah, because again, the enemies are much weaker, so that definitely helps out a lot. We do get Madline's help us that too, which is cool, I guess. But anyway, now this is where the plot gets interesting. So yeah, Nell basically reveals why she's acting so cold towards the Divine Dragon, and also yeah, she even flat kills Tamara and Ivy on screen by eating them as well. So yeah, and also revealing what that's all about too, and why they're acting like opposites and stuff. So anyway, yeah, basically Nell actually really misses the Divine Tracker of her world because, again, they died. In fact, she has feelings for them too, which, I'll go into that later, but anyway. So again, yeah, that's why she's acting kinda cold, like I keep saying. And then, yeah, she, of course, kills Tamara and Ivy, and we can talk about that too. So basically, the deal with this world is that, yeah, everything is corrupted. You may have also noticed that already too, that the enemies are all corrupted, so yeah. So then, yeah. So that's basically why Nell's clearing them off and also getting the bracelet, so again, nothing bad happens basically. So yeah, that's pretty interesting, but now Nil has something he wants to do. He wants to show the Divine Dragon, well, I should be single there, something. So then it leads on to the 5th map, where, yeah, Nil has a plan, let's just say. So, he reveals that he's actually evil, and also the one basically causing everything, all the problems happening. And yeah, he even uses the bracelets that we've been gathering for himself. He gets to use Chrome on this map, and he gives Veronica to Fogado. Yeah, Fogado was the assassin in the first Fell Xenologue map. It was pretty obvious that was it, but yeah. He's back now, and also you get to fight Hortensia too, who's using Hector. Pretty weird as well, but they get the rune swords, so yeah. This map is interesting. Basically, Elir's stuck at the, basically stuck in this, like, chill area, and then Nell is basically forced to fight Nil. And on normal mode, it is actually possible to just solo Nil with Nell on that map, thanks to a strong emblem like Tiki or Edelgard. On hard mode, you're probably not doing that, so yeah. You need to get to Nil and a kill him off, but he's actually really hard to kill because his stats, they basically made it so that he's impossible to cheese, because even if you use Warp Ragnarok on him, he has tons of res, so... But you can use the Warp Ragnarok on the physical unit, so Nell can help them out. There's also reinforcements near there too. Yeah. It's basically a race against time on this map. And yeah, there's a lot of things to slow you down. Not only those two corrupted Fogado and Hortensia, but also tons of enemies and stuff. Yeah, my brother didn't like playing this on hard mode, let's just say. And on normal mode, it wasn't too bad, but you need to be a little careful still, because there's like a lot of enchanters and mage cannon, so you need to be careful of, and yeah. Keeping Elir alive can be a little bit of a crapshoot as well. Luckily though, you do have physics, so you can definitely use that to keep them alive. And if you have Lyn, you can even snipe the corrupted wyvern that appears near the top of the map, because yeah, they can snipe a Lyn, which is very annoying. But yeah, on normal mode, even if you don't have Lyn, Elir can still survive, so yeah, you don't have to worry too much, but yeah, especially have Physic. Because yeah, his accuracy is pretty poor, but yeah, Elir can't move at all, so when he creates the Miyaza, yeah, it gets pretty bad. So that's really all I gotta say about that map, but yeah, now Nil has all of the, now Nil has almost all the bracelets, only one remains, and then, he flees and goes to basically the Somnia, but now it's of course completely ruined. And the Winds managed to make it out of the ruins, and they got basically separated from the rest of the group, which is why you can't use them on this map. Yeah, this map's weird, because you get like none of the guest characters except for Nell, so yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it could be a little bit easier, but if you're playing this very early on in the game, it can be a little bit difficult, but yeah. with that out of the way though, it's time for the final map, and this is where things get good. Well, depending on how you feel about the final map. But anyway, so yeah, Nil, he basically gets the final bracelet, the Three Houses one, and he basically tells Alir to basically break the bond on it, so you can have all the bracelets. So he can do his plan, and then well, guess what? Alir actually agrees to do it because they want to try and save Nil, because that would be what Nil wants. I'm pretty sure, yeah, I think Nil even like mentioned something like that. So yeah, Alir decides to put everyone in danger and do that, causing Nil to become Fell Nil, I do believe. Basically like this dragon looks kinda like Sombra. And yeah. I think, yeah, he also reveals why he's doing this, yeah, and also reveals what he's been doing. Yeah, he's the one that's been also awakening the bracelets because he has that power, and also he can corrupt people, and that's how he's been getting the corrupted, royals, basically. So yeah. And yeah, he does this because something to do with Sombra. I think he wants to follow in Sombron's footsteps or something like that, so yeah. That's what it seems like to me. But anyway, this map, oh boy. This map was interesting, let's just say. So, the normal version's pretty cool, to be honest. Vel Nil does move around this one, but much less. He only goes straight up. Yeah, there's a lot of gimmicks in that. First off is Nil himself. He moves around this map. And eventually ends up at the top middle of the map where he can actually be attacked. You're not supposed to kill him anywhere else because he just has too much defense. And like I said, he just goes to the straight top of the map, so you don't have to worry too much. Because, yeah, there's a gimmick where, yeah, if Nil kills something when he flies off and destroys the island that he was staying on, well, he powers up. He can get more health bars, and if he kills off a royal doing this, then he gets that skill. Which, yeah, that could be bad. So you really want to make sure that you kill them off so he doesn't get those skills, because if he powers up and gets too many of those skills, yeah, he can be impossible to kill. On hard mode, he moves around a lot more. He moves to all the islands, basically. And yeah, it's much harder to deal with the enemies too. They reinforce like crazy too, which is also not very fun at all. And really annoying too, so yeah. Yeah. Let's just say, my brother hated this map so much. It took him basically the whole day to beat it, or something like that. It was miserable. Again, he wasn't the best prepared, but still, again, it was horrible how badly this map was beating him up. And yeah, as you can probably tell, that was also my first exposure to these maps. He also kind of struggled on the last map too. I don't really talk about that, but yeah. Again, these maps like took a long time to beat, and also yeah, were very difficult. And this map was, and yeah, map 6, yeah, that was the big one. I didn't have that much troubles because I was normal, but yeah, my brother, man, it was a miserable experience. But yeah, he managed to somehow win, but yeah, oh my god. It was something alright. It was definitely something alright. How difficult that map was, so yeah. So you do that, and now this is where things get really interesting. So yeah, with Nil defeated, he basically reveals something quite important, is the fact that, yeah, he's not really Nil. Because Nil died in battle a long time ago. But Nil reveals that, yeah, she kind of knew that for a long time. She just didn't mention it because she wanted to... Because she knew that this Nil was doing it for... this Nil was basically being Nil for her sake, basically, and for his sake. So that's why she didn't really question it. And yeah, I could probably talk about the flashbacks here, but I think it's alright. They're pretty interesting though. They basically go over like the lore and stuff. I didn't really talk about the twins and how they were, but basically in this world, Sombron's children always come in a pair of twins. And yeah, it's pretty rough stuff because they like fight each other and stuff too. That's also shown in the flashbacks as well. But yeah, Nell really cared for her little brother Nil, so yeah. She does feel like the older one, so yeah. Even the twins, so yeah. And yeah, that's kind of shown in those flashbacks too, but yeah. Sombron's also there too, and he's kind of important in a little bit, so yeah. So enough about those, so yeah. But yeah, basically Nil's like, alright, you won, you can kill me off and then stop all this chaos from happening, so yeah. That's what looks like happens, but then Nell decides to kill herself. By killing herself, obviously. She stabs herself, basically. And yeah, what this actually did was destroy the Dragonstone, obviously. Because yeah, remember when that happened to Alir in the main game as well. So yeah. So yeah, that happened, and yeah, breaking the Dragonstone is actually quite important because yeah, as it turns out, they feel like some sort of energy coming out of it, and yeah, it seems like Sombron actually put a spell onto it, but yeah, even still, this Nil, um, he still doesn't want to be forgiven, even though it was probably just Sombron's fault at the end of the day, because he thinks that he is part of the problem too, because yeah, he did cause a lot of the things that happened too, so yeah, he does blame himself a lot, and yeah, he also blames himself for the death of Nell as well. But anyway, on her last breath, Nell really wanted to know the real name of this Nil as well. And yeah, he reveals it. His real name is Rafal, and well, I'm going to be referring to him as for the rest of the video, so yeah. So yeah, with that done, Rafal then tells the Laird that, is there a way to bring back Nell? And yeah, remember that, yeah, basically something similar happened with Alir in the main game, where yeah, Sombron basically mortally wounded them, but then Lumeria used the powers to basically bring them back. And yeah, Rafal is going to do something similar for Nell, but yeah, that took a long time. It took 1,000 years for Alir, so it's going to take a long time for Rafal too. But then yeah, and then they promised something. Once Nell is back, Rafal will, I wouldn't say this is a promise, this is just something that Alir wants. Alir wants Rafal to come back to their Ilios. Once Nell is back, obviously. That's Rafal's part of the deal. He wants to make sure Nell's back before they go. So yeah, and then they leave. So yeah, the 4 winds first come along, and then afterwards, yeah, Rafal and Nell are able to come as well. And then with this, you get to use all 5 of them in the main game. So yeah, let's talk a little bit. So yeah, like I said, yeah, the gameplay, yeah, there's a lot of problems with it. Yeah, as you can probably tell, the difficulty. On hard, I feel like hard mode is probably way too hard at points. Yeah, it's probably a bit easier if you actually come better prepared than my brother did. He wasn't even that badly prepared, to be honest. He was pretty alright, but yeah, again, you definitely need to be well prepared for this. And bring your A game on hard mode at least. Normal mode, yeah, you can definitely challenge this much in the game on normal mode. Don't try that on hard mode though, that sounds like hell. That definitely sounds like hell, but anyway. So yeah, but yeah, there are definitely some gameplay problems, other gameplay problems too, mainly the guest characters. They don't feel that good to use, especially on hard mode. On normal mode, they're fine, to be honest, except for like the accuracy issues at points. And yeah, Celesta's pretty good on normal mode too. She can carry you quite hard, especially if you give her a good emblem. But yeah, it just feels like, yeah, they feel kind of underpowered. They also don't get any extra levels with the emblems too, which is annoying. Yeah, it feels like you're basically just relying on your own units, and yeah, those units come with a fixed inventory, which you can swap around, but some weapons are basically unattainable, and also you can't engrave either, so that also causes a lot of accuracy issues as well, which, yeah, again, that's annoying. So yeah, these mats can feel quite frustrating to play at points. But yeah, I feel like a lot of it is kind of made up by the story though, because again, this story is extremely well done. Nell, of course, Nell and Rafal, I should be saying, are great characters. The story does a great job of showing just the bleakness of this whole world. Yeah, it feels like a terrible place to live, and yeah, the game does a very good job of showing you why, which again, that's great. Um, and yeah, while the maps, yeah, they don't feel the best to play, mainly because of your units. I wouldn't say it's the map gimmicks themselves that are super bad. They have some interesting ideas going back in the difficulty on hard mode and beyond. Yeah, that's where things start being quite unfun. Um, with these maps, um, yeah, it does feel like also that it wasn't playtested as well. There isn't like it's very hard to find a good balance of difficulty. Unfortunately, I think the best way you're probably gonna do that is normal mode with like just early game normal mode basically. That's probably the best way to maybe make it balanced but beatable, to be honest. But yeah, like I said though, the story does make up for it. Like I said, the opposite roles, some of them are pretty good. Not all of them are like perfect, but again, they do help sell the bleakness of the atmosphere. And then yeah, Rafal's Nell and Rafal do add a lot to this plot, and yeah, again, they're great characters. So I'm pretty glad that, they're a thing and also the main characters for this. It definitely does sell that, yeah, the story is actually pretty good to be honest. So yeah, it's just that, yeah, the gameplay could have been made a lot better. And if it was, yeah, I wouldn't be feeling so like, I don't know. I feel like I would be less wishy-washy, I guess. It's just that, yeah, it didn't give me the best first impression because in my brother's playthrough, but yeah, anyway. But yeah, I do want to at least be a bit more positive because yeah, a lot of people are like, saying it's bad, which yeah. Um, Again, the gameplay isn't that good, but I think it does kind of make up for it with the story and stuff, and the characters too. Um, but again, yeah, I can definitely see why people are really put off by, how brutal the gameplay can be at points. But yeah. So I think that's it for the Fell Xenologue itself. I think overall it was kind of positive just because, yeah, Nell and Ruffle are great and yeah, you can use them in the main story, they also have great supports too. So, which yeah, we'll get into. Yeah, like I said, it's a little bit hard to say. I feel like if you don't like Engage, don't get the DLC, but if you did like Engage, yeah, you can go for it, I guess. That's basically my 2 pence. I'll go over how I feel about... Again, I did already kind of say what I felt about DLC emblems. They're fun, very cool to use, but again, they do kind of break the game balance, especially with the Paralog 2, because, yeah, you do get a lot of extra XP from playing those, so yeah, again, it can basically make things feel a little bit too easy, but it's okay. That's just, yeah. I mean, yeah, the other parts of the DLC are probably more broken, like the gold you get, and probably the silver ingots, but oh well. Again, not perfect, but hey, I don't regret getting the DLC to be honest. It was fun to use and stuff, and yeah, if you like Fire Engage, I feel like you can go for it, but if you didn't, you might want to skip out. That's just how it feels. But anyway, I think that's good enough. Let's actually move on to the characters now that I talked about the Fell Xenologue a little bit. Let's start with Nell then. So Nell, yeah, again, you can get her quite early, and I do recommend getting her quite early too if, you want to use her. Because, yeah, she does need a little bit of help, I feel like. It's because, yeah, her base stats are... they're fine, I guess, but yeah, she doesn't have, like, something super stand out. She does go for a really bulky build. Or balanced build, I should be saying. So, like, basically, a lot of stats are good, and the speed is actually a very good place at 19. We'll go over growth rates now because, again, they kind of tie into this, like, role she's trying to fulfill. She has 65 HP, 45 strength, 35 magic, 50 dex, 60 speed, 45 defense, 50 res, 30 luck, and 50 build. Yeah, like I said, yeah, like I said, she wants to be basically good at everything. Kind of like, sailing now I think about it. So yeah. In fact, yeah. She even likes to use magic just like her too. So yeah. She's quite interesting with her base class, I will say. Because again, it actually gets to use a new weapon type too. So yeah, she gets A Lancers and S Dragonstones. So yeah, she can use Dragonstones, which is actually really cool. So can Rafal too. So yeah, that'll be fun to talk about. Yeah, let's go over what these Dragonstones do. And yeah, this is the main reason why I'm using this class. If you want Lancers, then yeah, you're probably better off using Halberdier. Because again, you're kind of sacrificing stats for the engage, or the engage bonuses. Because again, she's a Dragoneer, and that seems to be a common trend with all the dragons in this game. So yeah. Again, let's go over her Dragonstones. Rafal also has access to these. So yeah, basically how you get these is that you can basically evolve, and they basically cycle between all the weapons. At least that's what I can tell. The basic Fell Stone is 10 might, 100 hit, 9 weight. 1 range, pretty good, and all of these also half foes defensive res, which is actually quite cool. And yeah, that could be very useful, obviously, depending on the situation. Fell Runestone is next. It's weaker, it has 6 might, 80 hit, and 12 weight, but now it has 1 to 2 range, so that's actually really cool. Again, you can definitely try tanking with these two with it. It's pretty interesting stuff. This weapon, I must admit, it's definitely warm-up. I definitely recommend giving it a good grade to, because of course good 1-2 range is definitely very nice. Then next is Fell Magic Stone, which is 6 might, 85 hit, 10 weight, 1 range. It's a magic attack that uses physical power, so yeah, I think what that suggests is that it targets enemy res, but it actually uses your physical strength, so that's pretty cool. I can definitely see this out-damaging if the enemy has low res, and you even halve it too. But it probably won't out-damage like Fellstone by that much, because again, you are also halving the defense, so yeah. And yeah, think of these like the Lunatone too. Basically, yeah, you basically add on the might. You can basically like imagine that you're adding on might equal to half of the defense of the enemy, and then yeah, that basically tells you how good these weapons are. And yeah, if you imagine like that, then yeah, they can actually get quite a lot of stats depending on the situation, which is pretty cool. Yeah, that's Fell Magic Stone, and then we get Fell Slay Stone, which is 6 might, 90 hit, 10 weight. Pretty similar to the Magic Stone actually, and 1 range I should be saying. Its gimmick is that it's effective against cavalry, which is pretty cool. It doesn't have the most spy in the world, and yeah, you can't even like forge these either. The only thing you can do is engrave them, so yeah. This can be nice, obviously. A more effective damage is never gonna hurt, and there are quite a lot of annoying cap units in this game, like the Wolf Knights, so yeah, it could be nice. Then finally there's Fell Weight Stone, which is 6 might, 95 hit, 0 crit, 9 weight, another one crit, I should have said that, and 1 range. This one's effective against flying units, so pretty similar to the Fell Slay Stone. But again, this can be nice because Wyverns and Griffins can also be quite annoying enemies in the main game, so yeah. The Dragonstones are pretty neat, and it is definitely a cool way to make the class stand out, other than just the engage bonuses, so yeah. Now let's go on to the personal skill and the class skill. So I think these are pretty gimmicky, but that's okay. Or specific, I should be saying. So Nell gets Protective, which is if foe initiates combat against her fall, she gets crit plus 10 to you for 1 turn, which is pretty cool. But yeah, of course, that does mean that yeah, you need to be using her with Rafal, which I think most people are. I didn't, but oh well. I only used Nell in my playthrough, my last playthrough, but that's okay. But yeah, sounds like an interesting skill, especially with a high crit weapon on her, and yeah, of course, this means you can probably try to take advantage of Wrath too, which is interesting sounding. So yeah. Then we've got the, another kind of niche skill, that's a class skill that she gets, which is, Resist Emblems, which, when attacked with an engage attack, prevents 20% of damage. So, again, that's alright, I guess. It is pretty niche though, because again, it only works on engage attacks, but hey, reducing damage on them can make Nell quite good. So, against well-flying engage attacks, which you do fire decent amount, so definitely not a useless skill. So yeah, that's a lot about her. So for emblems, yeah, because she's so well balanced, you can basically do whatever you want. And yeah, there are definitely some like good ideas. Like I used to with Chrome, for example, who boosts the magic by a lot, which she definitely likes. She can definitely use a flame lance if you really wanted to. So yeah, you can definitely try using that a little bit too. But yeah, like because she is a dragon after all, in a base class at least. Then yeah, basically any emblem that you can think of will do quite well, depending on the role at least. Like, yeah, it's kind of similar to a Leer in that regard, to be honest, because yeah, Leer can also do a lot of cool things with emblems, so yeah, just basically pick whoever you want. I can definitely see some like Tiki being pretty good too, because she does get the dragon bonus, and she does appreciate extra growth rates just to make sure that all those balanced stats, she's consistently gained those. I can definitely see that being pretty good. And yeah, you can obviously give her an emblem that pumps up the stats that she really needs the most. Her speed is probably better, so I recommend maybe trying to pump up her power. That's why someone like Crom sounds like a lot of fun. But yeah, I can also see Roy being a lot of fun. I think my brother used to Ike too, that was also pretty cool. Yeah, like I said, she's decently versatile thanks to being a dragon unit, obviously. So yeah. So yeah, that's really all I gotta say about Nell as a unit. She is a very fun unit, and yeah, if you want her to be a little bit strong, you can obviously reclass her. Yeah, most classes will have better stats than this. She does have the Lance proficiency, so you can think about using that to your advantage too, like with Wyvern or something like that, so yeah. So yeah, you can definitely reclass it too. So yeah, that's her as a unit. She is a pretty cool DLC unit, and yeah, she's a pretty cool DLC unit, and yeah, of course, I'm mainly using her for her character because again, I really love her. Like I said in the Fell Xenologue, yeah, she has a great role as one of the main protagonists. And yeah, I just really find her really fascinating too. For supports, I'm not too familiar with these, but yeah, I did like Nell's supports. Like the Leer one was pretty cool. Like yeah, they get to know each other better, and yeah, this probably does ease the pain a little bit about Nell losing the one she loved, which is the Divine Dragon of Hermod. I like the Veil support where they basically Veil kind of treats Nell as another sibling, and yeah, it produces pretty wholesome stuff. Especially by the end where yeah, they do accept each other as siblings too, even if yeah, they're not actual siblings. I mean they kind of are, but I don't know. We'll talk about that later and how kind of weird this is to think about, but yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty sweet support. Vale even... I like when Vale said that she wants to be the older sibling because she has the longer hair, but of course, I obviously viewed Nell as the older one. But yeah, I did like a support. So of course, the Rafal one is probably the most important one. I'll talk about the Rafal section just because I'm really not familiar with him because I didn't use him, so yeah. But I did like that support quite a bit. But yeah. My brother did use Rafal, but yeah, again, we'll talk about that in a bit, but anyway. So yeah, like I said, I do like Nell quite a bit. Great role in the Fell Xenologue, great character as well because of that, and yeah, I really like the supports too. And yeah, I have seen her S support. I was thinking about doing her S support in my last playthrough, but I decided against it and went with Goldberg instead, which I don't regret. It was a pretty good S support, but yeah, again, it does beg the question though. I think it was kind of romantic too, which I also quite like. But it also begs the question: is some incest going on? Well, because again, if you do pair her with it, then they're both children of Sombron, but it's a Sombron from a different. It's Sombrons from different worlds, so does that count? I don't know. Yeah, we might be going back into these FE4 arguments again, but anyway, but that's really all I've got to say about Nell. Like I said, I do like her a lot. Maybe I will use her again in my next playthrough, we'll see, because again, there's a lot you can do with her, I feel like. Because again, she's really well balanced, so that means that, yeah, a lot of builds are up for the taking, basically, so yeah. And yeah, I really love the design too. I really like when she has like a soft smile on her face or something like that. She looks really cool, I must admit. Then again, I guess I do like the anime girls with the black hair and stuff. I don't know, there's something about that, I guess, so yeah. I do like black hair a lot as well. and yeah, she definitely rocks it really nicely. So yeah, I don't know. She just seems like really attractive to me. I don't know why. But yeah, I think that's enough about Nell. Let's move on to the next unit, and the final unit we're going to be talking about in this little series. Let's talk about Rafal now. So Rafal, a bit more focused when compared to Nell. He focuses more on strength and HP when compared to Nell's magic and speed. So yeah, that can obviously be seen as base stats, where yeah, he has like 39 HP, 90 strength, and 20 defense, so yeah, it definitely feels like, yeah, he's supposed to be more of a physical bruiser when compared to the more balanced Nell. And yeah, that can also be seen with his growth rates too. 85 HP, 60 strength, 10 magic, 45 dex, 40 speed, 45 defense, 40 res, 20 luck, and 20 build. So yeah, again, it's a lot more focused on what he wants to do. He wants to be good at physical damage, and also be a bit bulkier too. His bulk isn't that much better than Nell's, but it definitely feels like it because of his higher HP, so yeah. This does make it much easier to like theorycraft builds for him too, because again, while Nell can basically use mostly anyone, Rafal can obviously lean in on like either the physical strength part or the tanky role. But anyway, let's go with his personal and class skill first. The personal skill is Rivalry, where when an ally within 2 spaces defeats a foe, he gets crit plus 10, which is cool, I guess. Again, this can be used with Wrath, I guess. That's probably the best way to use it, but yeah. Other than that, though, pretty simple stuff. Like, yeah, crit plus 10 is cool, but yeah, crit plus 10 is cool, but yeah, again, it is a little bit of a specific condition to get, unlike someone like Panette, so yeah. Probably not as good as hers, but yeah. I'm not complaining about a good crit boost if he's like nearby other allies, so yeah. This can also be kind of fun on a class with long movement too, so yeah, there's that. The class skill is Spur Emblems, which at the start of player phase fills adjacent allies engaged minions by 1. So yeah, kind of a support role, and again, kind of incentivizes him to be near his allies, which is interesting. And again, this can help charge up engaged minions, which can be nice. But again, it's only by 1, so it's only really useful for those units who are close, but not quite there to gain that engage back, so yeah. So as for builds, as a Fell child at least, yeah, like I said, someone like Ike comes to mind first for me, because again, Ike does give the Wrath skill, which is really cool. The extra bulk that he gets is also really cool too, allowing him to do that physical brawling quite well, and again, he does appreciate the A rank and axes that he has. Yeah, he gets axes over Nell's lances, which is really cool. He can still use the Dragon Stones quite well too. Even the Magic Stone, because that does physical damage, but targets, it uses his physical attack, but it targets enemy res, which yeah, that could be an interesting little tech there. And yeah, Hector also comes to mind too, because again, Hector of course, is also good for bulk too, and yeah, he can obviously appreciate some extra bulk and the axe, and the focus on axes that Hector has too. You can also try like boosting his speed too, maybe in a different class, but like my brother did, like yeah, of course, he could try using Lyn to become this like really fast crusher, I guess, with his high attack stat, and the high amount of axes. Roy also like came to mind to me a little bit too. But again, Roy is like kind of a mediocre emblem to be honest, because yes, again, all he does is boost stats, but he's definitely not a terrible emblem, but again, there's definitely a lot more powerful ones in this game. But yeah, again, just like Nell though, there are definitely a lot of good options for a, there are a lot of good options for emblems just because, again, the bonuses, which yeah, again, he can definitely make very good use of, depending on what build you want to run. And yeah, speaking of that too, recasting him. Again, his stats are a little bit lower than if he was in another class. So that means that yeah, when reclass, he can be pretty strong, especially as a Wyvern, which my brother did. That's how he used Rafal, so yeah. I think he used Lyn too, and yeah, he was quite the terror as well. Even going for that Revenant, his kind of personal weapon too, so that was pretty cool. And going for a lot of crits with that. It was a fun build. I did like that build quite a bit. I haven't used it myself, but yeah, I'm tempted to try his personal class to be honest, so yeah. I'll think about it. But anyway, so that's really all I gotta say about him as a unit. Pretty cool. Pretty interesting unit, just like his sister. And yeah, I do like the fact that he's a bit more focused on what he wants to be, rather than Nell going for a more balanced build. It's pretty interesting stuff. I quite like it. Let's move on to his character. Like I said, I'm not as familiar with this as Nell, but from what I've seen though, it is pretty cool. His support with Nell is extremely good. Again, they want to, well, look after each other better. They're kind of worried about each other too in that support, which yeah, that was also great to see. Again, sibling relationships again, something that this game does really well. So yeah, of course Rafal definitely comes to mind with that, so yeah. Nell and Rafal too, yeah, like I said, they do want to look out for each other, which is why yeah, I quite like this support. Quite a bit. And then there's the Allure support where yeah, it shows off his love of sweet treats. Kinda like the evil Veil, which is kinda interesting. I don't remember if he has a support with Veil or not. I kinda wish he did if he doesn't, but yeah. Again, more simple support. He also wants to look fierce and stuff as well. That's why, yeah, his crit quotes sound pretty, evil, I guess. He's like, evil, but not actually. It's interesting. But it is kind of entertaining too, when he calls, like, the enemy a Vader and stuff like that, yeah. It's a pretty cool gimmick. Again, he wants to look fierce, and yeah, I can appreciate that. Being fierce can look really cool as well. And yeah, he definitely comes to mind with that as well. So yeah. On that though, I'm not really familiar with his character, but again, his role in the Fell Xenologue though was really cool, where he betrays you obviously. And yeah, he did a really good job of covering or showing off Nil too, as like, I had to also give credit to his voice actor too, because again, being able to pull off both Nil and Rafal was pretty incredible, so yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something I really like about Rafal, and again, the betrayal was actually done pretty decently well, and again, I do like the fact that yeah, he still wants to atone for what he has done as well. That's also kind of an important part of the supports too, or at least his character in the Fell Xenologue, one of those two things, so yeah. So yeah, that's why I do quite like Rafal quite a bit. I do find him quite interesting. Again, he's another reason why I like the Fell Xenologue more. I probably like Nell a little bit more, because, you know, that's just the way I am, but yeah. Nil is pretty interesting though, so yeah. And yeah, it's cool to see him, you know, actually be able to become a dragon, because yeah, Nil never was able to because he's too weak, so yeah. Again, it was pretty cool to see that, yeah, Rafal was able to do that, and yeah, again, Rafal being basically there instead of, being there I don't know what the right word is, but yeah, being there for Nil's sake, I guess. Yeah, it's definitely really cool stuff. He does a really good job of that, so yeah, I definitely appreciate Rafal quite a bit as well. Again, even though he does seem like kind of a fierce person, again, he must look tough, obviously, and scary, but yeah, he definitely seems like a kind-hearted person, so yeah, I quite like this dude quite a bit. And again, I would like to try maybe using them one day, so yeah, I'll think about it. But yeah, that's gonna be it. So, yeah, that's it for the Fell Xenologue and all the DLC characters. So yeah, overall, yeah, like I said, not like the biggest part of the gameplay, but the characters do make up for it, and I do like the characters quite a bit, so yeah. And yeah, again, these units are definitely also quite fun to use in the main game as well. The wins, they're decently fun, especially Celestia with a personal class. And then yeah, Nell and Rafal do also seem like pretty interesting units. And yeah, again, I say yeah. Yeah, that's really all I gotta say really. Again, I do like. Again, I'm not like 100% on the Fell Xenologue, but I don't think it's like the worst thing ever. Again, a lot of it does come down to like the difficulty not being the greatest, but yeah. Like again, it felt like yeah, unlike the main game, there wasn't a good balance of difficulty, unfortunately, which is a shame. But yeah, the story again, I did like what they did with it. Definitely, yeah, the world does feel like such a hopeless place. especially considering what they show. And then yeah, Nell and Fall do have a great role to play in the plot. And afterwards, yeah, they have some good supports and are pretty fun units to use. So I definitely appreciate that. So yeah, I think that's gonna be it for now. But while I have finished talking about all the characters, at a later point though, I was actually toying with the idea of maybe talking about the Emperors because I feel like I would have a good amount to talk about there. So yeah, maybe at a later point I'll do that. Maybe in a similar structure as well, we shall see, but yeah. I hope you also don't mind the gameplay in the background too, because again, you could say that I did this series as an excuse to play Tokyo Extreme Racer Drift 2, or in my case, I guess Kaido Racer 2, because that's why I actually played. I played the PAL version, basically. It isn't that different, but oh well. You could say it was just an excuse to show off gameplay about, but I don't really mind how you view it, so yeah. Day after this, yeah, we'll see. Still have a bit of a ways to go with my Cold Steel video, so yeah, maybe... I don't know if that'll be the next video or not, we shall see. I'll see if I can cook up next time. But yeah, so that's it for Fire Engage now. So yeah, and I'm gonna be looking towards both the both that Cold Steel and my next playthrough of Pokemon Platinum, which I have tested and it works. So that means that yeah, I'm definitely gonna be doing it next. So that's good. So yeah, look forward to all that's coming up, and I'll see you guys again for that.